Older men are the arbiters of the Moe Revolution. Howdy hole, and welcome to Hole Chat, a boy love and girl love podcast where Moe transcends form, space, time, and even death. I'm your host, Chuck, and with me is someone who embodies Moe to me, Keelz.
What is a Moe revolution?
Whatever we're going through now, I'm sure. More Moe all the time.
What is Moe? I don't remember currently.
Moe is essentially charm or affection that is more intense or specialized than normal. It's a very nebulous term because it goes all the way from like Moe girl animes where all the girls are like super cute to a point where you might have like cute aggression about them, all the way up to I think where I'm getting at, which is I know a lot of Moe old men characters who I find adorable and other people find very adorable and charming, but they are old men. Or you specifically find Kuwabara Moe because you think he's super cute, but he's this big muscly teen boy.
So it's your own like taste kind of thing.
It's like a combination of taste and like charm and cuteness kind of all put together. I think cute aggression is actually a really good way to explain certain aspects of Moe. Like they're so cute, you're like, oh my god, I have to have everything about them. It can also kind of affect that part of your brain that says, I need about 15,000 chotskis of a character.
Got it.
So it's a very nebulous term. I know it's got slightly different meanings if you're talking about hentai versus if you're talking about more mainstream like games and anime and stuff like that. But it gets used a lot.
Okay. I swear I used to know this term and now it just feels alien to me.
It's probably because it keeps changing as people use it.
Okay.
Because I remember explaining to you what Gat Moe meant a while ago.
Yeah, because I remember Gat Moe actually, but I was like, but that doesn't necessarily help me understand.
Who really understands what Moe is? Moe is a feeling. Well, I'm mentioning Moe because I wanted to talk about a manga that I am low-key obsessed with to the point that I thought about it. I'm prompted several times a year since I first read it. So I think I first read it when it came out, and I have thought about it probably once a month since then. It's a comic that I also find to be extremely charming and extremely cute, but it's also not really supposed to be charming and cute, but there's just something about it that I keep like latching onto.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, you shouldn't find it cute, but you're like, oh, I can't help it.
I can't help but find it super charming and super cute. I think the author of this manga also feels the same way that she finds these stories like super cute and interesting. But as we get into it, you'll understand what I mean by maybe this shouldn't be cute, but I am smitten regardless. And now that I got this podcast where I can talk about it at length and manipulate others into reading what I have read, I have to talk about it. I have to go in deep. But the manga is also only one volume, so it's only 5 chapters, and it's not officially published in English. So I also am going to throw in another comic by the same author that still has some of that Moe older men charm to it as well.
Okay. Kind of like how people are really into old man yaoi right now.
Exactly, because the old men are often very Moe in a very specific way.
Okay.
When we were doing the episode on Michiru Sono before with all of her old men comics, the old man from Koboku, very charming. I found him incredibly adorable, but also I was like, that's a full-grown old man with a heart condition. Wow. But he's so cute. I'd buy merch of him right now. So the 2 comics I want to talk to you about are Yasashii Anata. The English title is You Who Are Gentle, and Till the End of the Night, which are 2 works by Nishida Higashi, written in 2016 and 2018, respectively. Nishida-sensei, much like Michiru Sono, is a fine connoisseur of grown and older man yaoi with a distinctive style, though hers leans more into the masculine and is very reminiscent of the 80s and 90s kind of shonen series. So think kind of City Hunter or on the boy love side, Fake kind of reminds me of those 2 a little bit. So less uwu shoujo style kind of boys. Are not as pretty. They're just kind of look like guys that you would have seen in a 80s manga for men.
Mm-hmm.
She's made a ton of work, and the common theme seems to be men just being dudes and enjoying other dudes because they like dudes. So there's less of that distinct female gaze to it, which is really interesting because boy love is most often written by women, often queer women, but still from like a feminine gaze. And this is one of those ones that feels like it kind of transcends the boundary between like female gaze and male gaze and sits kind of somewhere in the middle. So stuff's very interesting, and I like it.
Yeah.
And I honestly think it makes her comics cuter to me, but it's just kind of a bunch of dudes or whatever. So we'll start with Till the End of the Night, since it's a bit more serious. And I read that significantly more recently, and then we'll follow up with Yasashii Anata afterwards. So our first story starts in the middle of a sex scene between our main character, Hyura, and a mystery person. Hyura, through a haze of pleasure, tries to determine who exactly he's bumping uglies with. It's not any of the, like, 2 women he's ever been kind of interested in, so it must be a man. And if it's a man, he posits, it can only be one man. Their naked bodies continue to move against one another, realization slowly overtaking Hyura, and finally, the face of his mystery lover becomes clear. So look, this is one of the cover pages for Till the End of the Night. Kind of ominous a little bit, because somebody's in like a death pose. Fine.
It does look like it's a funeral moment.
Yes, so this has a bunch of symbolism to it, because there's kind of like a wall between them as well. You'll understand later. And then this is immediately what the comic opens up with, like, 2 men intertwined, naked as fuck. And then we get the face of this dude who Hyura is having this, like, sexual event with.
Mm-hmm.
So Hyura awakes alone in his room. He puts a hand to his face and whispers a question out into his empty bedroom. Kageyama, are you alive?
Bro.
Hyura begins his morning routine, only pausing to make a phone call to a detective. You know, to inquire whether a certain person's remains have been found. Specifically, have Kageyama's remains been found?
Are you dreaming of a person you killed, bud?
We'll get there. The answer is no. No bits and pieces of the lawyer, Kageyama, have been found anywhere. Similarly, there are no traces of a romantic or sexual relationship between Hyura and Kageyama. They've never had sex. They've always just been good friends with similar life paths. But if that's the case, why does Hyura dream of him? So at this point, this is not even his first sexual dream.
Bro.
About Hyura. This is like... It's inferring that this is at least like a 3rd or 4th within like a short period of time.
Okay, where are you? But he didn't have any feelings for him at all?
That's how he is thinking of it. Sometimes you hear a person and you hear what they're saying and you're like, cool, that's a lie, dog.
Okay, so he's in denial of the feelings he was having.
I think it's very much more that he is just now realizing that he had feelings. Really bad time to do it.
Since it sounds like you maybe murdered him?
We'll see. Hyura boards the subway, still reflecting on the strangeness and horniness of that dream. As the doors shut and the train begins pulling away, Hyura spots a familiar face on the platform. Kageyama. He's shocked and reflexively tries to lock eyes with him, leading him to jostle his neighbors. The customary Japanese politeness sets in, and with it, his reason. So he apologizes to his train mates and reminds himself that he's not the type to imagine things. No matter how distinctive Kageyama's face is, it was most certainly not him.
Okay.
Hyura continues his commute, walks into his office, turns to his secretary, and immediately asks about Kageyama's remains.
Bro.
No good morning, no hey bruh, just, do you know anything about a certain someone's dead body? Straight up interrupted his secretary too. Hyura, again, seems to realize he's being unreasonable, calms himself, and finally greets his secretary, Shirai. Shirai is finally able to update his boss on the plans for today. They have to push back a meeting with the head suspect in a murder case because, as a prosecutor, these are just the sorts of things that Hyura has to do. And in this case, his duties include interviewing the criminal that most likely killed his close friend.
Which is Kageyama.
Kageyama,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm understanding.
So...
honestly, if I didn't figure it out soon, I was gonna, cover the mic and be like, explain it to me now or there will be violence. Because I don't like feeling super lost.
To be fair, this is how the comic kind of sets it up, so you start figuring out in pieces like this. But it lets you know...
So the comic is definitely kind of giving you mystery vibes.
It is absolutely labeled as a mystery, and it is... You are trying to figure out the whole time what's going on with Kageyama.
That's so addicting as a book, you know?
Uh-huh.
But when someone's telling it to me like that, I want to kill them. Don't you feel like crazy when someone's leading up to a mystery as they tell you a story and you're like, just shut up.
Okay, so
fucking tell me.
There's this thing that we have a discrepancy in between the two of us.
Yeah.
Called patience.
I have it for books, and that's so stupid. But I think it's because I read super fast. I read faster than I talk.
Yeah, I know, because you consistently read my text at the speed of light and then tell me, you didn't text this. And I'm like, because you were so impatient to get to the meat of the text that you skipped the rest of it.
Shut up.
So if you're patient, it's not that bad.
Well, I don't have it.
That's okay. It's okay. I don't have patience for movies.
Yeah, but you fix that by being like, I just won't even watch a movie. Me, I'm just like shaking down a person like they owe me money. Tell me, is she pregnant or not? You're taking too long.
Well, in this case, it tells you really within the first chapter that Kageyama is maybe dead, and that they are looking into what happened. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Kageyama is like the white-haired kind of guy we're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Then,
or blonde. I like the comic is in black and white, so I'm not sure.
He probably has like auburn or lighter brown hair. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's Kageyama, and then this was Kyoto on the train being like, oh, is that Kageyama over there? Holy shit.
Yeah, you're definitely getting haunted, bro.
Yeah. And then there's some flashbacks too, kind of showing what he looked like for sure when he was alive and like in his little suit and stuff like that. Yeah. They're both being lawyers. It's very cute.
This is weirdly giving me Lupin the Third vibes.
Because it's got that old school style.
Yeah.
That old school style that's very much for either like general audiences, but also closer to like you're men and you're reading comics and this is for you kind of thing, you know? But it's, you know, two men touching tips. Rather unfortunately, Hira is a prosecutor, and prosecutors do not get to choose their cases, so he is in charge of figuring out what happened to Kageyama.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you were friends with someone, they would let you, like, take a mulligan in real life.
Well, so...
Like, at least in here, I think that has a conflict of interest.
Yeah, let's be clear. In America, you can recuse yourself from things, or you get forcibly recused from things. If you are in law enforcement or the judicial system, you can step away from things that are too close to home. I don't know how they do it in Japan, but it sounds like if you're the prosecutor for Tokyo, you prosecute everything.
Ugh.
Yeah. Watching Shirai work, in spite of his boss's rudeness, triggers a flashback to the time when Kageyama first met the secretary and reintroduced himself to the brand new prosecutor, Hira. So this was a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Kageyama had been just the same as the last time he'd seen him. Cavalier and good-natured. Hira had very much wanted to battle it out in the courtroom with him, which is also something that Kageyama wanted. They wanted to meet each other, like, as defense lawyer versus prosecutor. But instead, he got fucking murderated by a couple of thugs.
Well, I mean, I think it needs to be said a little sadder than that. You just sound disappointed.
I am disappointed. They could have been, out here doing stuff.
Could have been like Ace Attorney over here.
Yeah, they could. They definitely could have Ace Attorneyed it. That would have been great. Later that day, the interview with the suspect is less than helpful. Homeboy was drunk the night of the probable murder, but doesn't seem to remember much, other than Kageyama showing off and looking flashy. Can't remember the argument they had, and definitely doesn't remember getting Kageyama's blood on his personal belongings. Homie is pretty much useless, and has the audacity to act like someone else would have had beef with Kageyama, or that he purposefully ran away to escape massive debt. So this criminal is just spitting out whatever he can to be like, I totally didn't do it. And it's like, cool.
You obviously did.
But you are in custody, and they do know that you had an argument with them, and they did see you leave with Kageyama together with another person.
Mm-hmm.
They know you did something. You should just cop to it. But he's claiming he's drunk or out of his mind or doesn't know. He also has priors, and it's like, girl,
you might have done the do.
Right. Needless to say, This is not what Hira wants to hear for a variety of reasons, and he can feel anger rising within himself. He forces himself to remain calm and tries to remember just how annoying Kageyama could be. Sure, he was incredibly lovable and had a clean background, but he could also be an annoyance. Like how, back in law school, he straight up asked if Hira was a virgin in a semi-public place.
I'd kill him in a public place.
Yeah, they were like...
I mean, funny, but also, shut up.
They were like in between classes, and Kageyama was just like, "Hey, are you a virgin?"
Bro.
So cue another flashback to the very moment Kageyama decided to be out of pocket. The moment the words left his mouth, Hira sped through the school hallway, seemingly desperate to get away from him. Kageyama chased him, calling out apologies before catching up to Hira. Hira's not mad, but he was secretly embarrassed, since it's 100% true that he's a virgin and has had no luck with women.
Bro.
Kageyama tells him not to worry, and his question wasn't really so much about Hira's status as it was his own. Because Kageyama's never touched a woman either, considering how incredibly gay he is.
Are y'all gonna, like, touch tips and that's how you'll cure virginity?
Mm-mm. He further tried to put Hira at ease, explaining that the future prosecutor was totally not his type. Rather, Kageyama looked up to him and would be far more willing to introduce him to some girls he knows. Hira declines his offer, saying he'll eventually fall in love with someone normal and they'll be together at some point in the future, like the heteronormative playbook, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Kageyama looks at Hira wistfully and a little sad, emphasizing Hira's romantic tendencies as the main reason they'd never work out. So you'd think Hira would have picked up on Kageyama's extremely obvious feelings at the time, but one, he still thought he was straight, and two, was too busy checking out Kageyama's lips and how sensual they were.
Okay, did he really think he was straight? Like,
yeah.
You thought you were...
Hira thought he was straight.
Okay.
Like, he explains multiple times what a difficult time he's had, like, with women, and that he hasn't been able to, like, really make it with a woman. I don't know if I mentioned it, but he had said that he essentially loves women too much to want to sleep with women.
Okay,
like, he finds them really too
I don't
beautiful.
recall you saying that.
I might mention it later, but I know he said something about, like, oh, I find women so beautiful, and I've looked at them so much that I can't sleep with them in the flesh, and I'm like, girl, I think you just appreciate how women look a lot, which, yeah, so does everybody. That doesn't make you into women, kind of thing. But this is the face that Kageyama's making, or he's kind of looking at him like, oh, yeah? You want to get together with somebody in the future? And it's very obvious to me.
And to everyone, there's some gay going on.
Because you can't be like, oh, yeah, I'll go with a woman someday. Wow, those are some sensual lips. I get why men and women are attracted to him. Hey, speaking of, are you? Knock, knock, it's gay. The murder suspect is taken off to be held in jail for the next 10 days, while Prosecutor Hira and the police continue their quest to get to the bottom of this case. Flash forward to that night, and Hira is once again locked into a sexy, sexy little dream where Kageyama is, again, laying him down by the proverbial fire. Hira finds himself becoming impatient with his teasing and also desperately wants to behold Kageyama in the light. His desire is so strong that he awakens, sits straight up, and turns on the lamp near his futon. In the low light of his bedroom, he realizes he was dreaming again. And this time, he has the added bonus of getting a boner about it.
Ah, yeah. This sucks. Like, you finally are edging closer to realizing you're gay, and the object of said desire is definitely dead.
Well, let's clarify. They think he's dead. They're not 100% positive. They're looking for his body because they have not heard from him, and it's been like a week. It's been, I think, almost over a week, edging on 2. And so to them, a healthy man who is not dead should have returned, reached out to somebody, gone to like link up and been like, hey, you know, this is what's going on. Or would have turned up somewhere and been like, I can't remember who I am. Can you find me? Kind of whatever. But they've heard no trace of this grown man being anywhere. So this is why they're looking for his body, because they feel very certain it's got to be a murder then. Or it's got to, if it's not like a full-on murder, it has to be manslaughter or accidental or something. Because it doesn't make sense that a 35-year-old man would just disappear after an argument and not be found again unless he's murder-rated. That's their logic.
Okay.
So, There's, just like with any missing persons case, there's always a chance that they're not dead. But the longer it goes on, the more you're like, well, that's a long time to go missing. Maybe they're dead. So, like, we're in true crime territory a little bit.
Yeah. I didn't even get interested in the case because I'm so stuck on this dude who's just having some real gay awakening dreams.
This is what made this.
And it's also not like, I wonder what this wet dream could possibly mean.
This is what made this kind of insane. It's like, you've picked the worst time to have your gay awakening, but also, you're busy, dude. Damn.
Yeah.
He lies back down and is about to do something about his boner when a light flashes from outside his window, and a strange feeling overtakes him. He leaps up from the futon and pulls the curtains aside, exposing the street in front of his home and a very familiar-looking man. They stare at each other for a moment before Hira rushes outside, attempting to catch the not-dead man of his dreams, because what he thinks he sees is Kageyama.
Okay.
By the time he makes it to the sidewalk, Kageyama has run off into the night. But why? He showed up at your house. He's obviously alive. Why did he run?
At this point, he's not alive until, like, someone has spoken. This feels so weird.
Yeah, because this is specifically what we see. It's just him staring at the window, and then there's Kageyama.
Are you being stalked by Kageyama?
Feels certainly like it. And then also here's the cover for Chapter 2, which is a whole thing.
Sure is.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the one issue I'm having with this art is the mouths are huge.
Yeah.
Those mouths, man. Feels like Pac-Man.
I know what this artist got inspired by. I've lived in those trenches.
Dorito Chin Sen Man kind of art.
I mean, she started making work in like 2002. So she like, grew up on
Yaoi Hands art.
She grew up on all the 80s and 90s kind of stuff. And then I know Nishida Sensei said that her favorites were, one of her favorite manga, like boy love manga, was Kaze Tuki no Uta, like Song and Wind of the Trees, which is like a really, really classic one. And there was another classic one that she also was like, that was like her big one for her, big formative moment. So knowing that those two classic fucky ducky boy loves are her favorites, and then knowing what she also consumed in the meantime, a lot of things about what she's writing, drawing, whatever, makes sense.
Okay.
The next morning, Hira and Shirai are on the way to Kageyama's apartment as they discuss the case. They definitely have enough evidence to convict the suspects on assault and theft, but the murder charge would be tough to acquire without a body, of course. The conversation is more tense than normal, something Shirai picks up on, as it's fairly obvious his boss and Kageyama were quite close. It's clear to him, at least, that this case is proving to be tougher than normal for Hira. As they make their way up to Kageyama's apartment, they continue to discuss the case. Shirai's in the process of explaining how Kageyama's family is faring during the investigation, when the door to the apartment swings open, revealing a man who looks strikingly like their victim. Hira freezes in shock, because ain't no way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, of course not. It's not Kageyama, but rather his younger brother by 1 year, Naoto. Hira is still in shock, clumsily trying to reconcile that his dear friend is indeed not in front of him.
Oh, shit.
Naoto gazes at Hira coldly, asking if he really looks that much like his brother. That seems to snap Hira out of his spiral, and it suddenly becomes clear to him that this is a different person. But for a second there, Naoto looked almost exactly like his brother.
Is this the guy he's seeing, like, outside of his place?
What a great question.
If you're getting stalked by your crush's younger brother, yikes.
So you're already at a point where this seems like it's going in about 15,000 directions.
It does.
Totally how I felt. I kept trying to reconcile things. I was still wrong by the end of this story.
I'm fascinated. No
I kept thinking, oh, it's this. No, it's this. No, it's this. And then I got to the end and it's like, oh, it was, okay. No, it was an easier answer than I thought, but also still confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So he and Shirai barely have enough time to take their shoes off before they're being ushered back out of the apartment. Because Naoto, knowing that his brother is a victim, refuses to let them snoop into his personal belongings. Which is not how investigations work, but it's his choice, and you get where he's coming from. Because I wouldn't necessarily want somebody to, like, rife through your stuff. I would let them do it, because if you're missing, I want them to figure out, you know, any clue that they can do to, you know, find you. But I also understand a lot of people get really reactive to that, because that's feels like an invasion of privacy.
Like, you never know how you're going to react if you think someone's murdered, or because there are plenty of people who, like, they go into such shock, they're just like, do not touch their stuff because they don't want it made real to
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But between Naoto and Mama Kageyama either being too offended or too upset to aid in the investigation, Hira is left once again only with the perpetrator's testimony. At least they have Naoto's number and the permission to contact him. Though it's weird how when they asked Naoto for his number, he started giving Kageyama's number first.
Okay.
So he started giving Kageyama's number, was halfway through giving that, and then gave his actual number.
Bro, I'm not ready for this weird mystery bullshit.
And as the days continue to tick by with only circumstantial evidence and eyewitness reports that only give half of the story, Hira's anxiety and restlessness continue to mount. And the dreams continue too, vivid as ever, though not always as sexual. So he has a dream like with Kageyama and himself fully clothed, and Kageyama's got like a band-aid on his cheek, and they just kiss. They just make out for a little bit, and like he lays with him, and it's very sweet.
It's a very surreal type of storytelling. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like it'd be a good film.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think so. Later, Hira is out in the streets, once again, trying to reach out to Kageyama's family. He's able to connect with the mother, though she's thoroughly out of the loop on what either of her sons have been up to in the past few days, and with Kageyama the past few years. He's in the process of asking for further details about Naoto when a hand grasps his, pulling the phone away from his ear. Naoto stands before him, glare affixed to his face, admonishing Hira for calling his mom. Because that is one thing Naoto's very serious about. It's like, don't call my mom, she's upset.
Oh,
which they also like understand because...
But they are trying to solve the murder.
Yeah, it's like, I get it, but also, can they please?
This is hard.
It was around here that I was like, this is like a weird Law and Order episode a little bit. Because it very much was in the true crime area at this point.
Yeah, it's very interesting, it's very interesting how much this is actually, even focusing on the case solving.
Mm-hmm.
It's a true mystery, and that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like, got mystery, we got case solving, we got dream fucking, and then just repeats over and over.
Yeah.
Just seeing Naoto sends Hira to his knees, because again, in that moment, it wasn't Naoto he saw, but Kageyama. He ends the call with Mamiyama, since the person he actually wanted to speak with is right in front of him. This time, when Hira requests to see Kageyama's apartment, Naoto agrees, hailing a cab for them. Once at the apartment, things take a weird turn. On the one hand, seeing Naoto up close and somewhat comfortable allows Hira to see the obvious differences between the younger and older brother. So, he notices immediately, too, that Naoto's, very clumsy, and you don't realize it from a lot of the flashbacks, but Kageyama has, a real ease of, talking to other people, communicating. He's, the life of the party, very charismatic. Even when he says something out of pocket, hey, you a virgin, he easily smooths it over.
Yeah. Yeah, because that sure is a thing to say to someone.
Yeah, but he just, slid an arm around his shoulders, oh, I didn't mean it that way, and, there's just a certain, ease to everything about him. And Naoto is clumsy as shit and keeps running into shit.
Mm-hmm.
And even at this point, Naoto has a band-aid on his cheek, and it's where did you get hurt?
Yeah.
To even get
and
that.
Why?
But then he sees him walking around Kageyama's apartment and, runs into stuff. The level of clumsy that I am.
Yeah.
Is how clumsy Naoto is. So, on the one hand, he figures that out. And then on the other hand, Naoto has questions for Hira that range between normal curiosity and entirely out of pocket. You've never seen his place before, even though he's fucked your butt? Those kinds of questions.
Jesus.
Just comes in hot,
you guys had fucked, right?
Yeah, you guys had sex in the dorms, right? Because it's you've never been to his house. That's crazy because y'all are fucking. No. Well, so you lived in the dorms during law school. Did you fuck there? No. Again, no. Hira denies all of this, obviously, and explains a bit of his and Kageyama's history. But Naoto doesn't really stop. Instead, he shows Hira photos of Kageyama's past lovers, which should be relevant to the potential murder case.
It should be.
But why the fuck are all of them nudes or mid or post coitus?
Bro, you're weird.
And why then does Naoto explain that each and every picture features a dude who looks an awful lot like Hira? And then he explains to like, yeah, I work in tech, and so I manage my brother's cloud, and that's why I have access to this. And I'm like, no. This doesn't explain a lot.
This is so
weird.
weirdly incestuous.
This is super weird. And also, of course, elephant in the room. Who in their right mind would show explicit photos of their sibling to someone with that kind of manic glee? That's fucking weird.
I don't even fucking know, man.
Yeah. By the way, this is the middle of chapter 2.
Oh my god.
There's 5 chapters. So I mostly explained chapter 1. This is the middle of chapter 2. So much shit happens in 5 chapters that it feels longer than that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Hira, like a normal person, refuses to look at more of the intimate photos, citing they have nothing to do with the case. But Naoto seems to be on a roll, trying to emphasize that his brother was a liar and a fraud, and that these images and more serve as proof that Kageyama was not what he seemed. He claims Kageyama's entire existence was a lie, and then shows Hira a picture of him from high school.
You're kind of a jerk, huh?
A picture that shows beyond a shadow of a doubt that Kageyama was phony, fraudulent, and a charlatan. A picture that shows high school age Kageyama looking exactly the same, minus 17 years of aging. Naoto explains that his dear older brother got plastic surgery and changed his face. Except really, Kageyama was born with one single-lidded eye and one double-lidded eye, and so he got plastic surgery to correct the single-lidded eye to be like the other one. So it wasn't even like, because a lot of people in Asia will get eyelid surgery for both eyes. He's like, I just want to look the same in both eyes. That's it.
I already have a feeling that this guy is gonna bang Hirayama, and I don't like him.
I see where you're coming from. I acknowledge where you're coming from. But so, plastic surgery, actually not a big deal.
No.
Super normal. It's corrective.
The corrective lid surgery is something we've heard about a lot. It's normal.
And also, this one is even deeper than like, oh, I just want to have this. It's, I would like to look like symmetrical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know if I were someone who wore makeup and I had one lid that was single lid and one that was double lidded, I'd be pissed at all times.
I would probably want my lid to be fixed, too.
I'd like, let's pick one being the same as the other one so I can apply makeup evenly, whatever. So this revelation doesn't seem to have the desired effect, since Hira just looks sad and wistful. If only Kageyama hadn't felt so insecure about such small things. If only he'd known he didn't need to appear so perfect in front of Hira. God damn it, Hira misses him. So all this information just makes him feel melancholy, like he was trying to hide these parts of himself. He didn't trust me enough to talk to me about it.
It's sad.
So even if it's true that Kageyama wanted to raw him in a 7-Eleven parking lot, he should have at least given Hira the opportunity to talk to him about it, rather than just hide it.
Mm-hmm.
He's not crying, but in this moment, Hira is overcome by sadness and wanting and the crushing weight of what-ifs after a loved one's sudden death. Naoto's eyes seem different for a moment, as he reaches out, tenderly lays a hand on Hira's shoulders, and plants a chaste kiss into his hair. Just as quick as it happens, it's over, and Naoto's standing a few feet away from Hira, asking, almost begging him, to go home. And so Hira is left in a complicated limbo, unable to proceed with his case, not knowing if Kageyama is alive or dead, unsure if their feelings for one another could have solidified into something more substantial, and tormented by a brother who both is and isn't the man of his dreams. And also he gets felt up by a spirit in a drainage ditch, probably, maybe, so that's a thing.
Excuse you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so...
He gets felt up by his ghost.
He gets felt up by a spirit in a drainage ditch.
By a spirit, not necessarily
by a ghost, but by a spirit. We think, maybe, because this whole time, you don't feel sure about what's going on until chapter 5. You are certain something weird's happening, but you don't feel absolutely sure. So this is one of the scenes like where he's fallen in the drainage ditch, but he hasn't gotten felt up yet. Because I'm like, one, he fell in the drainage ditch, that sucks, and then 2, ghost stuff.
You know what? This loses a hole.
Okay.
I am so frustrated with this story so much. I don't like mysteries that much.
That's fair.
I have to find out I want bulletproof what happened. Yes. And then I'll go in and read the details later.
Yeah, I will give that to you, if not here, then in private, because I have to talk to you about it more in depth, because I'm like, what the fuck did I read?
No, I know. Like, this is how normal people engage with stories, But when it comes to me with certain mysteries, if it's too fucked up or messy, or like there's a bunch of weird shit happen, I am like, too long didn't read. I'm going to the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find out the ending, and then I'll go back and.
Yeah, especially for this one. This one's so short. I could feel the point where you would have been like, fuck this, I'm reading chapter 5, and I don't care if I don't understand it all, then I'll go back, and then I'll read the rest.
Yeah,
I could feel
I'm
that
already
point.
there. I'm already there.
So, Till the End of the Night is obviously a weird one, in that it feels like a Law and Order episode where one of the recurring side characters gets crimed, and the prosecutor is revealed to be gay about them. Like, there's some serious detective work going on, while Hira tries not to fall apart, as he realizes all the opportunities that he missed. It's pretty melancholy and bittersweet for the most part, especially with the amount of flashbacks that are shoved in. And there's a ghost, kind of, that throws you for a loop.
A ghost that's like, wants to give you a blowjob.
Yeah. Blowjob ghost.
I'm exhausted, minus another hole.
It's heart-wrenching watching Hira realize all the times Kageyama was obviously trying to reach out to him, to connect with him in a deeper way. But it's too late to do anything about it, supposedly. It's also interesting watching Hira fall in love just from these memories and from the realization of just how much Kageyama's loss means to him. Technically, all he has left of his love are dreams, memories, and Kageyama's family, kind of. Doesn't help that the weird spirit, ghost, supernatural part only furthers how sad it is that Kageyama is dead, probably. Because yeah, that scene with Naoto airing out his brother's dirty laundry is weird, but since it was most likely Kageyama's spirit, the whole situation reads as an attempt to come clean about his pent-up feelings for Hira, and a way to downgrade his loss from that of a dear friend to a local nuisance pervert.
Wait, so the brother might be a ghost.
The brother might have been possessed by Kageyama's spirit at that point. So when he was like, hey, look at all these pictures, look at this, it's like, let me use my brother as a proxy to prove to you, you shouldn't be upset if I'm gone from you, because I am not a good person. I am a pervert. Don't do this.
We were discussing how sometimes stories need to be read multiple times to be understood.
Uh-huh.
This is that, isn't it?
I read it the first time and was like, I don't know if I like that. And then I read it again for the episode and I was like, oh, actually, this is really engaging. It helps that I know how things go, because you have to link back stuff that you know after you've read it.
All right. You're a cunt, but continue.
Listen, okay.
This is the hardest story to talk about because all I'm feeling is frustrated.
Okay, Kate, I will just at least say, I chose this one because it's the only currently available Nishida Higashi story, translated officially in English. That's why I chose this one. There was nothing else to pick from that is legally available, and that's why I read this. But there are other comics of hers that I think would have been easier to talk about, but this is what's available online.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I chose this one. It's still good. It's just much harder to talk about than I think some of her other stories are.
Yeah. I'm not for real mad going to kill you or anything. I am just like, this is a lot.
Yeah, just anybody else who's like, wow, this feels rough. There's a reason I started with this, and I'm ending with my favorites. So, the inferred possession of Naoto is done really well in the sense that it fucks you up the first time you read this. Because Nishida Sensei's style is pretty simple, and her men tend to be drawn a very specific way, but she absolutely does make the brothers look different. It's just in the most subtle, infuriating way possible. But that's good, actually, because you get to feel how Hira does. So you get to also question if he's just crazy and intense mourning, or actually interacting with his lost love. If there are any fans of the Apothecary Diaries who've watched the recent season, Lady Gokyo, she gets 3 new ladies in waiting that are all sisters, and they all look almost exactly the same. But if you look at them individually, they have very subtle differences in them. That's what the Kageyama brothers look like. They have very subtle differences, so I had to literally look at one page with for sure Kageyama on it, and look at a page with his brother on it, to be like, oh shit, there are slight differences, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, I find that kind of treatment with characters very impressive.
Yeah.
But
infuriating in this case, because I also noticed that she specifically does not put their faces on the same page. So even if you have this in book format, their faces wouldn't be adjacent to each other, so you actually have to go back and compare. She's a son of a bitch.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
The whole comic is both touching and confusing, but kind of works as a good metaphor for loss of a loved one. You feel like you see them in everyone around you, like you feel them in places that you used to go, that sort of thing. But then also, are they really there and trying to fill you up while you sleep? Also, the ending is happy and quite sweet. So for everything that I'm saying, you can kind of...
I know that once the yaoi starts, it's probably going to soothe it. But right now, we're in the mystery fuck zone. And also, I don't appreciate ghosts being molesty. I don't like that thought, because you know what that makes me think? Is that we're sitting around here with all these weird ghosts trying to fuck us or do stuff. Because there's that one Japanese ghost that it puts its dick in your nose, and that's why you wake up with a runny nose. It's a Japanese ghost.
That ghost really likes me, huh?
Yeah, but it's so fucking weird, and I hate that we have ghosts like this. And then there's another ghost that it's eating your dreams through your nose, which is why you could sometimes wake up with a runny nose. One of the Pokemons look like it.
Oh,
Moomin.
Is it the little elephant-looking dreamy
Moomin,
dude?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if that's like eating my dreams through my nose, that one's cute.
Right, that's cute. Bakken. It's called a Bakken or a Bracken, and they look like kind of weird little elephants, and they suck your dreams out your nose or your souls. It's depends on translation and legend.
Yeah.
They're largely harmless, but the one ghost I don't want to fuck with is the one that puts his dick up your nose. That's the one I don't want to deal with.
You still want a ghost to fuck you.
No, I don't, so I'm not enjoying this.
That's fair. Done. Do you want me to tell you real quick?
Tell me what?
About what happens in the rest of it real quick?
I mean, yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's hours later, it's raining outside, and I sang karaoke for 2 hours, so whatever. Let's keep going.
Yeah, we had some friends remind us, hey, come over, we were going to do a thing, and we're like, oh, shit.
So whatever. Oh, shit, if you hear rain in the background, it's spring in our area. Fuck it, sorry. And, actually enjoy the smooth jazz rain sounds from outside. You're welcome. This podcast has elevated itself up a notch.
Enjoy.
Okay, so we finished up talking about Till the End of the Night. So now we can get on to my absolute favorite, Yasashii Anata. So this story starts out quite a bit differently than the last, mostly because no one's been crimed yet.
No one's crimed.
Yes.
There's no weird mystery. There's no weird ghost in a drain.
No, there's none of that stuff. Every mystery is there's a little bit of mystery, but it's straightforward. And it's more because people are not talking to each other about things and not because, there's a missing person or body or whatever. Mm-hmm. Much chiller, much more straightforward. And there's crime, but nobody gets crimed. Well, you'll see what I mean in a second.
Okay. We
start out in a gay bar one evening, focusing in on a man in a suit, flirting unsuccessfully with another younger man.
Oh boy.
Despite the missed opportunity, this man, Harumoto, is in good spirits. It's not bad to drink alone in this place, surrounded by good-natured acquaintances, hot dudes, and excellent vibes. Called by one of said acquaintances, he gets up from his seat and runs straight into a suited dude, spilling his drink in the process.
No.
They lock eyes for a minute past a moment, and then the Japanese politeness kicks in, and they apologize profusely to one another, each one trying to take the blame for an obvious accident. The mystery dude offers to pay for Harumoto's suit, of course, but he declines, instead encouraging him to enjoy his date for the evening. So he's just like, yeah, hey, please enjoy your evening with him for me. I can't get the hot dude. He's obviously for you. You have a good time.
He picked up on that right away, oh, hey, you got a hot dude with you.
Well, yeah, because he could see the young man from across the way looking at this guy that he just ran into. I was like, okay, obviously, that's for you. Good job. No bad vibes in this gay bar. Only good vibes. Only being chill about shit.
Okay.
As Harumoto makes his way over to the bar, he overhears the young man from before say, Sensei. Ah, yes. The man he bumped into seems like the respectable type, so Sensei definitely fits. He's a good man that he'll hopefully never run into outside of this bar.
Is it a specific gay bar? Is that the vibes?
No, at this point, Haramoto is thinking, I don't want to run into him for his own secret reasoning.
Okay.
So, but we will get to that point. I do want to pause and show you the one of the pictures for this.
This is really weird.
It's legitimately the Titanic pose. Like, it's Haramoto and this, so far, mystery sensei guy doing, like, a Titanic pose at the edge of, like...
A dock.
At the edge of a dock, and, like, a cat is yawning in the foreground.
And also, it looks like there's cans of fish open for the cats.
Yeah, it's like they're at a gross dock, and then just, you know...
They're trying to make it a romantic evening.
This really sums up well what we're gonna get into.
Nothing screams budget date more than this.
A little bit. There's more of a reason than budget date, but yeah. And then this is the initial cover for the first chapter.
Okay, nice.
And this is the scene of them actually bumping into each other, and they like see each other for a second out of the corner of their eyes.
Is the older one the one with the black hair?
This is Sensei, and then this is Harumoto, is the one with the lighter hair.
Who's the older one?
Neither one of them are older. They're about the same age.
Oh, black-haired dude has a case of severe bitch face. A
Yes.
little bit. Not in a mean way, just like it makes him look older.
Absolutely. Oh, and then I forgot to say, for this part, I recommend that you, the reader, if you have time, like, click away, open up a new YouTube window, or, like, you know, open up YouTube in general, and just look for Mona Lisa, sung by Nat King Cole, because that gets referenced multiple times in this story. So, you know, give it a listen, like, right now, or give it a listen a little bit after, whatever you want to do. But that will be relevant. Comes up a lot. Helps set the mood. Gotcha.
Okay, so we heard that last night, and that's why you let us.
Yes, because it's about this comic specifically.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Yeah, it's very sweet. So, while Haramoto is being like, man, I never want to see this guy outside of the bar. Meanwhile, Sensei is fending off complaints from his young date, as this bar is better to meet guys in than it is to actually do a date. Sure, okay, but he hates going to bars he doesn't know, and they both know how to keep their hands to themselves, so no big deal. Which is true, because like this young guy is like, oh, Haramoto was flirting with me and I rejected him because I'm not here for you and whatever. So they both have their shit together. You don't need to go somewhere, so you don't have to. But to also look a clue that Sensei very much is like a grown man and is like, no, I'm going to do what I want to do and I'm going to stay in line with what I'm used to doing kind of thing. A little bit like non-flexible, like older men can be sometimes. I get it. So he's dead set on staying there. That is until the familiar opening notes of Mona Lisa waft through the air from the live band behind them. Sensei now wants to book it because he's not now, and never will be, in the mood to hear a classic be butchered by some drunk homo. Except, it's...
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that his thoughts?
He doesn't say drunk homo, but that is like, he doesn't want to hear it butchered, is what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was like, that's some stank to put on it.
That is the vibe, though. He's like, we gotta go now.
He's
I don't want to
so
hear
mad that they're messing it up that much.
They haven't even started. No one's even sung anything. He's just immediately like, no, I'm not in the mood. Except, it's no random drunkard that takes the stage, but Harumoto with the voice of a gay angel.
The voice of a gay angel.
Sensei is captivated, eyes firmly locked on the stage during the whole performance. He approaches Harumoto afterwards and politely but exuberantly compliments him for the marvelous rendition. Sensei then asks for a handshake, which Harumoto eagerly returns using both hands. They smile at each other, both truly enjoying the moment.
I don't know.
So this is Harumoto getting up there to sing, and then he's just got this serious, like, locked-on gaze.
He's
like,
so severe looking.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be mean.
And then, like, the band even mentions, like, oh my god, Harumoto, you have to become be our singer. Quit whatever job you have and be here full-time singer. Because he's good. Like, if you know what Nat King Cole sounds like, this is the vibe Harumoto is giving, which is very cool, if you ask me. Like, it's a very cool trait to have.
Yeah. And
then this is them, like, shaking hands and, like, smiling at each other. This is the first time we see...
feels someone's gonna break up with their boyfriend to be with this dude a little bit.
This is the first time we see Sensei smiling. And it's like, a very sweet, normal moment. But I do think, even by politeness standards, the double handshake's a little much.
It is a little much. It's very gay intimate. But you know what?
Yeah.
That shit happens sometimes.
Right. Later, Harimoto sits in his office as he finishes watching a tragic romance film. The sounds of a man getting the shit beaten out of him go unheard due to his headphones.
Oh my god.
He only notices said beaten man when his body is thrown into Harimoto's office, right in front of his desk.
Okay. Now crimes happen, hey!
I told you, not crimes yet. There's a crime! He pulls off his headphones and sighs. Violence is uncouth, he says, as two more men enter, obviously still ready to do a hit. Harimoto chides his subordinates for bringing a fistfight into the conference room. Because a conference room is for civil discussions only, after all, and they are in no way being civil. The problem is, the dude with the ouchies has stolen from them, which is both a crime and incredibly disrespectful. So he's got to get punched at least once.
Is he Yakuza?
One of his subordinates punches the dude again, sending blood splatter onto Harimoto's suit.
Oh my god.
Now he's pissed. One, because it was a nice, respectable suit until a moment ago. And two, these dumb fucks aren't Yakuza-ing correctly.
Oh my god.
They stole one of his scam ideas and then managed to not only flub it up, but bring the problem to his office, further attaching said scam to him. Because Harimoto is running a legitimate business as a front, and so they need to keep the Yakuza actions on the down low when they're in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Harimoto orders them to get their shit together, get out, find whatever money was stolen, and keep his name out of their mouths.
Damn, son.
Mm-hmm. So subordinates scurry just as the phone rings. Harimoto answers, greeting his boss, Taniguchi. They briefly discuss something about a real estate bidding war that their group is caught up in, but agree to talk in detail later. Now, alone in his office, Harimoto's thoughts drift back to the respectable man from that night. Back to Sensei.
Girl.
Sensei,
get out.
The man of Harimoto's dreams.
No.
Unfortunately, Harimoto is a Yakuza. And a slutty one at that. So it's not uncommon for him to spend his evenings meeting his boss, a man that is old, reeking of death and of bad choices, and his nights plundering random hole.
Jesus.
Which we are given a taste of as he hooks up with another random Yakuza later that night. There's nothing romantic about it, but he takes the time to wax poetic about his dreams. So he's mid-plow with this dude, and they're kind of talking a little bit, but he's just eventually this is what I want to do with my life. So he imagines a time when he can save up enough money to run away somewhere tropical, where he can open up a bar and chase cute boys all he wants.
By the way, my brain, when you said he was dreaming of a new dream or whatever, a dream for himself, my brain went to Les Miserables.
I dreamed a dream of times gone by.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
I was oh my god.
It is.
But turn it gay.
It is kind of that level of, thinking about stuff, but it's you're dig deep in somebody.
Yeah.
Can you wait? And then even as he's pounding this dude, the guy's I don't think you can ever really achieve owning a bar with your temper. And then Harimoto presses him further down in the pillow and's shut up. Only proving that he has a temper. And I'm you're a mess, dude. You're such a mess.
It's so... Oh, that's cute and dumb.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Sensei, or Mizuta-san, is also balls deep in fantasizing about other things. Specifically, his mind is still stuck on Harimoto's brilliant smile from the night they met. His partner, the young man from the bar, is satisfied despite the divided attention, but now that they're post-coitus, he's curious why Mizuta won't take his shirt off. He's got a good body after all, so why not show the goods? Which, again, I have to emphasize that this young man is, probably 20 or 21. Because
he's asking a little too many questions.
Yeah, if somebody said, hey, I'm not going to take my shirt off while we fuck, is that cool? I don't know the reason, and it is not my fucking business, and I'm not going to ask. I don't care if it's, a scar, or just discomfort, or, they just don't like being sweat. I don't care what the reason is. Especially if we're just hooking up, it's none of my fucking business why you're partially dressed. As long as it's not a zipper chafing against my sensitive bits, who cares? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't ask. I think a lot of older people wouldn't ask. But I feel like a 20-year-old would be like, but why? You're hot.
But why though? I have questions.
Yes. Mizuta's phone rings before he can answer, and he coldly turns away from his partner to discuss business. Or, like, since this kid is young and most likely not 21, he does what young adults are wont to do, so he steps over Mizuta's boundary and peeks under a shirt. Whatever he finds there spooks the fuck out of him, and he backs up, quickly gets dressed, and makes a beeline for the hotel room door.
Honey, don't be nosy.
He freezes when Mizuta says his full name, his age, and where he goes to school.
No.
He's in college, to be fair. He's in college. Mizuta assures him that he won't tell anyone how old he is, his name, or where he comes from, and that folks at the bar also won't tell, because they have a don't ask, don't tell kind of, thing going on. But tells him to be careful with his student ID. He tosses the ID back to the young man, treating us to a nice view of his giant back tattoo, which we can see here is either a snake or a dragon.
So they're both fucking yakuzas.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh my god. I hope they're not rival or enemy yakuzas.
It's now clear that sensei is just a nickname, not a descriptor of Mizuta's profession. Or, well, not anymore, because he was a doctor once, but his license has been revoked, and now he does other jobs.
Why was your license revoked? Do we ever find out?
Yeah, and he does, but he infers even now that he's not upset about it being revoked, and he may or may not have gotten it revoked on purpose.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Mizuta continues his phone call as a young man scurries out. Something about a real estate auction and what he needs to do now that Taniguchi has won. There's a lot of real estate moving around in this, huh?
Is there?
Well, earlier Hanamoto was talking to his boss about a real estate deal. And now Mizuta's talking about some sort of real estate deal.
Oh, I missed that.
Mm-hmm.
I was too busy thinking about Les Miserables in this gay scenario.
That's fair.
I was having a moment with Jean Valjean and Javert or something.
The true doomed yaoi.
God damn, isn't it?
I truly think if they had fucked once, changed the whole course of the French Revolution.
Could've.
I really think if Javert just nutted once in Jean Valjean's vicinity, that could have changed a lot of things.
If he just nutted. That man.
I mean, yeah, if he just nutted, unmarried and that deep into the police force, come on, my guy.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's beside the point. As the scene fades, Mizuta's thoughts once again settle on Hanamoto and his gorgeous voice. That's all he was, he thinks. Just a man with a nice voice. Later, Hanamoto is at the local shopping mall, buying presents for the, 20 people his group threatened out of their homes. Because it's like, sorry, we scared you out of your place of residence. Here's a gift. Appreciate
I hope they got money.
It sounds like they were somewhat relocated or whatever. Like they're still getting to sell their homes, so they're not just leaving and getting nothing. They're able to sell their homes, but he's also like, thanks for being threatened. Appreciate you selling.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd kind of be fine with this polite threat if, I'm still going to get paid.
I get you. While he makes his way deeper into the mall, he gets on the down escalator, and by chance, glances over at the up escalator, locking eyes with no other than Mizuta. They stare for a time, and then each give, the polite bow of acknowledgement, this little head nod.
Y'all are having some gay romance already.
The moment Mizuta reaches the next floor, he pivots and seems in a hurry to make his way back downstairs. Hanamoto, having caught a glimpse of his quick actions, pauses and ponders if Mizuta was coming to meet him. He pauses for a moment longer, and then abruptly sprints toward and up the escalator. Both men run for a time before coming to their senses. They're grown men, trying to run around a goddamn mall. Just what is wrong with them?
Why are you running?
They should be working smarter, not harder. They are older men. They don't need to be running around. They should, figure something out. This is the scene where they see each other across from the escalators.
Get context. That's all I gotta say.
And then the pause, and then the, like, very serious sprint up the stairs. Like, no emotion on his face, just sprint.
Why are they running?
They caught a glimpse of each other, and then they were like, well...
And they freaked out?
Yeah, it's like they're... In the same way that Hira from the other comic was slowly figuring out that maybe he was gay for Kageyama, these two are at least both gay, but realizing in real time, maybe that was a meet cute. Maybe that wasn't just a, oh, we're two passing ships in the night. Maybe this was our meet cute.
Okay. So weird, but also oddly cute.
Yeah. Harimoto is in the middle of a phone call and about to leave the mall when an announcement comes across the PA system. It seems there is a customer that has dropped a Mona Lisa and is being held at the information desk. This is kind of adorable, like using their little code word.
Gets his little attention.
Yeah, as he says, you dropped your Mona Lisa. Isn't that cute?
That's cute.
Right? It's
stupid.
It's cute in like a very kind of like 1930s movie star kind of way. You know what I mean? Like you see this in a movie, it's like, hey doll, I asked for you kind of thing.
You dropped your Mona Lisa smile.
Right. Harimoto makes his way to the information desk and is delighted but unsurprised to see Mizuta, standing there with a bag in hand. Mizuta steps forward, handing him the bag. He just felt so bad about soiling Harimoto's shirt the other night, and he wasn't sure if they'd ever see each other again, so would he please accept this gift as an apology? Like, full-on, uber-polite Japanese businessman kind of shit.
These old men are wooing.
Yeah, because he just bought him a new dress shirt, and it's
Did.
oh, of course.
You don't know his fucking size. Gotta fill you up.
I have a feeling, from what I've heard, and this may just be like one of those rumors that gets out, I've heard that some gay men are so used to kind of knowing their partner's body size they can guess on sight. That they've just been with enough various men or like involved with like either in the drag scene or something like that, they can kind of guess how big someone is on sight. Which I think is a skill.
That is a skill.
It's kind of impressive. Harimoto graciously accepts, but as the bag exchanges hands, he, rather shyly, inquires about the young man from the other night. So, like, their fingertips are about to touch, and he's like, what about the young man from the other night?
I don't know. What about him?
Mizuta answers that he was rejected, and they're back to the pleasantries. Like, they break being, like, traditional Japanese salaryman types for a second to be like, what about the other guy? And then, oh, of course, well, thank you again. I am so gracious to accept this. Yeah, I appreciate it so much. Mizuta excuses himself and turns to leave, but Harimoto stops him. The shirt he wore the other night wasn't brand name, and this replacement is. So, shouldn't he make up the difference in price by buying Mizuta a coffee? You know, as a little treat.
The level of flirting.
I know.
Can I just say, I listened to a book. There's another really good podcast out there. LeVar Burton reads, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he reads short stories. There's a very pleasant sci-fi story that he read, and I really can't remember it because it's been several months, maybe a year since this particular story was read. Mm-hmm. But in the short story, there's two gay characters. It's illegal in their world to be gay. Mm-hmm. And how they've been wooing each other is through solving a language together.
That's gay.
And they've been doing it for like a year.
That's fucking gay, dude.
Yeah, and there's a female character that is like good friend / works together with one of the translators. And she's just like, just fucking ask him on a date. But like, the way these people have to communicate is through radio. And he's like, if I get out saying it openly, we could get killed.
Right.
And it's just like, they spent a lot of time flirting through like muscle flexing and translating something.
That's amazing.
I was like, I love this. The level of gay we will do. Fuck yeah.
That's dedication.
They do get together. Like, that is not the main plot of the story. But I'm just saying, bonus, they get together while the girl also like figures out a cool sci-fi fix for their problem.
That's incredibly romantic. Hot shit.
Wow. I was like, this is so good.
Dang.
But yeah, LeVar Burton reads. That's a very good podcast for any type of books if you want. Fantastic.
Yeah, any books that don't involve as much whole as what we're reading in general.
Oh, for sure. And they have a lot of like really nice people of color books out there. Like he'll do like several periods of time just featuring black authors, or here's like an Indian author, here's an
Yeah.
Asian author, and they're so damn good. Ugh.
Basically, if you want Reading Rainbow, but for a
Adults.
slightly older audience, this is what you need to do.
You will be hooked on the first story, which is about an alien and a boy, and it is good.
Can recommend. I will probably link to this at some point, so don't worry. I'll hook you up. So the next chapter starts off with Haramoto in his office, reading a book that Mizuta gave him. During their little coffee date, Mizuta offered him the book since the protagonist reminded him so much of Haramoto. He was unsurprised when Haramoto admitted to not reading often. He expected that since it's obvious that Haramoto has such a rich and substantial life, so he has no need for reading.
Okay.
Which is such a nice compliment. While it's incredibly complimentary, it actually pisses Haramoto off. Almost as much as the reading does. Being praised in this way by such a great man makes him uneasy. Mizuta's obviously got the wrong idea about him, and he can't really understand why. Nevertheless, they do have another kind of date scheduled. A movie this time. So, since you're going to the movies, a nice outing deserves a nice suit. So Haramoto, with some of his subordinates in tow, gets himself fitted for a bespoke suit. It's a really nice...
Oh, that's a brand or something?
Bespoke is, like, basically a hand-tailored suit.
Okay.
So, like, handmade, like, crafts and stuff that are of high quality are called bespoke. So it's a really nice suit. They're very popular and common in Japan for various reasons that I'm not going to get into because that could be a whole podcast itself.
Yeah.
But he gets a bespoke suit. His subordinates are there with him, and his subordinates are like, "Oh man, boss, you always look really cool this way," and like, "You always look so oppressive in a suit, boss," and just kind of being regular, like, kind of subordinate chuds. Like, and then one of his subordinates is like, "You need a tie with it, right?" And then offers him out this like insane look patterned, like yakuza style tie. This super loud tie, and then Haramoto like socks him across the face and is like, "What the fuck are you doing? I'm gonna look like a yakuza if I wear this tie. I need something more like this." And so he buys a better tie, and then he says, "Oh, but put this ugly tie in there too." So he still buys the yakuza tie, just not for right now.
That's so silly.
Like his taste are still, I like this yakuza tie. So after buying the ties, he explains to subordinates that he has a personal matter and that he'll be relying on them to branch out and go make some business connections. On his way out, he tosses them a wad of cash, encouraging them to buy new shoes so that they're taken seriously considering the part of town that they're in, and spend the rest on the younger guys. So he leaves looking like a cool, generous boss, which is true considering he'll be stuck eating ramen for the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as though he is a good man in his own way. And like he has this quote about like a stingy man is neither a gentleman or a yakuza. And so it's like he has very strong values. He does also probably would beat you up in an alleyway if he had to. You know what I mean? Mizuta is early and already waiting for Haramoto when he arrives. He's also looking sharp, so much so that Haramoto can't fight a slight blush. They head over to the theater.
Sorry, like...
You're shaking your head like, I can't believe this.
I can't believe them.
They head over to the theater, engaging in small talk on the way. Both of them asking about each other's jobs. Mizuta claims that his position is basically a sinecure, which is a job where you basically don't really do anything. Like, so you have the position, they pay you, but you just kind of sit around. That is the actual word used in this manga.
Wow.
So I had to go look it up.
Yeah, I was about to be like, a what?
Or is it? It's either sinecure or sinecure. Didn't matter. Close enough. I did my best.
I was like, this bitch made up a word.
I didn't. I wish I had. So he's nowhere near as busy as a manager like Haramoto would be. The yakuza assures him that it's not that impressive, as he just runs a small rental company, which is like lies, obvi. But this is a gentleman's outing with a true gentleman. So there's no room for nasty yakuza business.
They're having some high fantasy right now.
It feels like it. It's like, oh, well, this guy's just too good for me. I can't tell him I'm a yakuza. As they settle into the movie, Haramoto can hardly take his eyes off Mizuta. He's just so handsome and well put together, even in casual clothes. His watch is also so chic and cool. It's a little embarrassing that he took such a sharp-dressed, mature man to what amounts to a kid's movie. a kid's movie that in universe is called like Toy Story 5.
Oh my lord.
But it's also like apparently just based off of a manga. So the author's really trying to emphasize this is like a kid's family film that like older people could enjoy, but also like maybe not what you would take another grown man that you don't know to kind of thing.
Why did you? Why that movie?
Well, it's the last week it's playing. And maybe the kind of movie doesn't matter so much at a classy movie day. And so as long as he fills in, like, we did go see a movie, so it'll be okay. And also, like, Hanemoto really wanted to see it.
Okay. As long as someone wanted to see it.
He did want to see it, yeah.
Though, I was going to say maybe he was going to do, like, suck your dick in the theater.
No, they're classy gentlemen.
Like, look, some people can say classy gentlemen, but it doesn't mean that, you know?
That's me. These are actual classy gentlemen.
That's you? That's you, an unclassy fella?
Absolutely. The least classy, the sluttiest dad you've ever met. Despite the movie being less than challenging, Mizuta still has a good time, since he spends most of it watching Harumoto's expressions as he enjoys himself. And Harumoto excitedly grabbing onto his arm wasn't too bad either, because he grabs onto his arm at one point and is like, hey, yeah, this is the part where so-and-so comes out. They're my favorite character.
Oh my god. I was about to say, it's not scary. Why did you grab onto his arm? But the fact that he's gushing. Yeah, he's a pretty person to look at. I see why he's staring.
Yeah. So this is what he's focusing on. I'm like, how he's grabbing my arm. And I'm like, can you turn it down, dog? Can you back up? After a good gentlemanly movie date, comes dinner at a nice restaurant.
Gentlemanly movie date.
Harumoto apologizes for taking Mizuta to a kid's movie, but Mizuta just tells him to pay it no mind. He still enjoyed himself, and honestly, truly, Harumoto was really charming the whole time. Mizuta very casually, with absolutely no meaning behind it, asks if Harumoto is currently seeing anyone. You know, romantically or sexually or both, whatever. No, not particularly. But wouldn't Harumoto like to have someone all to himself? Someone whose smiles are just for him? Harumoto does say, one day, yes. But he believes that day won't come until he can acquire himself a clean life. And he's thinking this privately to himself that until he can kind of...
separate it.
Yeah, separate himself, he's not going to be able to have a partner. This is also crazy since they're definitely on a date together and are staring deeply into each other's eyes.
Yeah, mesmerized.
So it's like, I think you found your person, my guy.
Y'all are in love.
Eventually, they end up on a walk after their meal with the intention to go to the gay bar. The mood is heavy, but also a little awkward. The type of awkward that only happens when you're on a date with a new boo. They do the cute thing where they both try to talk at the same time, like, oh, no, and then they go like, no, you talk, no, you, I'm sorry, no, I apologize, please go ahead. With Mizuta eventually winning out. He admits that the book character that reminded him of Harumoto doesn't exactly have a good ending, and he apologizes for not remembering that. Like, the most frivolous apology, like, I'm so sorry, when I recommended that book, I forgot that he doesn't have a good ending, and that must look bad to you, that I gave you this book, and I'm like, what are we talking about? You're apologizing for nothing.
They're still having a really weird gay fantasy right now.
Yeah, because this information just makes Harumoto laugh, and it makes him way more determined to finish the book. But what did Harumoto want to say? He just wanted to ask about Mizuta's watch, which, if he were a bit savvier at dating, he might realize the opening he just created for himself. Because Mizuta, being polite, gives all the relevant information about his watch, and then offers to put it on for Harumoto. So the two men are forced to get close while Mizuta wraps the watch around Harumoto's wrist. Like, come on.
This is some gay romance. This is a gay fantasy.
Like, I can't believe you didn't know that was going to happen.
The gasp.
Their faces are so close that they're forced to look into each other's eyes. The tension is hella high. Mizuta reaches a hand out and cups Harumoto's face, leaning close to touch their lips together. Harumoto abruptly shoves Mizuta away, looking panicked. They stare at each other for a beat, Mizuta's glasses sitting askew on his face, and then Harumoto fucking books it off into the distance.
Why? Why'd you ruin the kiss?
I'll explain. But here they get
so close.
Like, lips about to touch, And then here's Hatamoto just gone, and then Mizuto's just left there.
I'm embarrassed. Pause. I'm embarrassed.
Fair.
Mine is a hole. I'm so embarrassed. No.
I know.
Why'd you do that, honey? Do you even know?
He's starting to figure it out. Hatamoto makes it all the way home before he stops to think. He feels like an idiot middle schooler running away like that. It's not that he didn't want it. He was just surprised.
I'm embarrassed. God.
Mizuta is still on the sidewalk, crouched down in front of a closed business, looking totally dejected.
No, I don't like that at all.
Like, he looks like this until a woman from out of town is like, "Are you okay, young man? Do you need help?"
Yeah, it looks like she's saying, "Young man, are you lost?"
But he's even in, like, it's such a typical, like, depressed high schooler position.
It is. It's helped with his severe-looking face.
Yeah, he's just being a giant baby right now, and that's very cute.
I'm sad. I could never be this type of gay where I push someone away.
Yeah.
I'm panicking a lot right now, but I can't. God.
Both of these smitten idiots mope for a few days. Hatamoto passing his days at work, still trying to read through that book, and Mizuta trying to drown out his sorrows in other dudes' holes. To add insult to injury, they're both still dealing with some weird real estate issue that can't seem to get resolved. Later that week, Mizuta sits alone at the bar, looking unsatisfied and maybe a little miserable. Someone's singing, but it's not the same as listening to Hatamoto's beautiful rendition of Mona Lisa. Someone from behind him says, "Leaving, Mona Lisa?" And though he's surprised, Mizuta knows exactly who it is. There he is, Hatamoto in the flesh, almost as though he'd been summoned by Mizuta's melancholy thoughts. He returns Mizuta's book and asks to sit down. All casual, like he didn't just run away like a shy schoolboy the
like
last time they
wasn't
met.
a fucking coward.
Yeah.
God. It was the most embarrassing run. Chuck pulled up the panel because he did that thing where he stops and looks at him for a minute before running away.
Yeah.
And that is
The worst.
That's the worst.
The worst.
That's the worst. Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
That's the level of run.
Yeah. They sit in awkward silence for a time before the apologies start.
God.
Like, just immediate, like, word vomit, Japanese politeness apologies. Mizuta is trying to take responsibility for their situation.
Is he the one that ran?
Mizuta is the one who was left there dejected.
Okay. No, the runner needs to apologize,
Also,
my sweet baby boy.
He's apologizing because he's like, I was too quick, I was too forward, etc. We didn't communicate well, blah, blah, blah. But Hatamoto has his own unique reasoning for the failure of that night. He's not a neko, or a bottom. So in gay slang, neko means bottom, and I think tachi means top.
Oh.
And so Hatamoto's not a bottom. He's always a top in his relationships.
So the aggression of leaning in surprised him then.
Yes, because he's normally the one taking charge is one of the reasons. And then two, it hit him like a ton of bricks. I know, just based on sight, that Mizuta's also a top. What do I do?
Not a good reason to run away, but I understand a little better. Because, I have had some gay friends express, how they've had a good date, and then they both realized that they had a preference for the same one, and it made things a little awkward. Yeah,
and then also understanding that both Mizuta and Hatamoto do not do relationships. They've never been, in relationships before. Mm-hmm. It's always been, one-night stands, or, sex partners, or sex friends, or whatever. And so they're both just kind of skittish.
Yeah.
And then you add in that, and I understand the gay panic he had, but I was also like, my guy.
My guy, my dude. My brother in Christ.
So after Hatamoto's announcement, there's another small silence. And then Hatamoto kind of checks if that's cool. Even though he's inexperienced being a neko, he still wants to take Mizuta to the movies. He'd really like to see movies, drink coffee, talk about books, and wristwatches, and all sorts of things with Mizuta.
Please fuck my ass.
Yeah, so he asked for all this, and is if that's, cool or whatever with you, with his, little moe-ass blush on his face. Mizuta, surprised and internally delighted, can barely stammer out an "of course" before Hatamoto rushes off to sing a ballad with the band. It's in that moment that Mizuta realizes he can be his true self with this man. They can dream that dream of being their complete and unadulterated selves together. The future is beginning to look brilliant and rose-colored. Too bad they haven't been fully honest with each other yet.
About the whole yakuza thing?
Yeah, because they have no idea. I do have a little bit of that scene too. So here, they're both obviously nervous about this. Hatamoto's the most embarrassed about it because he feels like he has something big to tell him. But Mizuta's very don't do it, don't make it your reference. Fuck. Mizuta's very Seto about it. And so his face is a lot more placid and he's a lot more serious looking. But you can tell from his own weird quirks of his face that he's having his own little moments of oh, this is deep, this means something to me or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they have a little conversation about I'm a Neko actually. And then the other silence after learning that he's a Neko.
What a weird... Again, I no judge for real, but what a weird way to call it. A little bit.
I mean, that is just how it's referred to. It is very much what it is.
Yeah.
That's just, the culture. But yeah, so this is where they are, where they've confessed to each other and asked to be dating in the most, chaste Japanese way possible.
For
very
real.
Cute. If you added in, hey, I want to talk about watches with you forever, then it would straight up be a proposal at this point.
Yeah.
Could not be moeier at this point for these two grown-ass Yakuza men. Yasashii Anata is special in that it centers in on a certain type of moe that doesn't get utilized enough. These are two grown men with Yakuza affiliations and long histories of cruising within the gay community that upon meeting each other become completely captivated. They honest to God experience love at first sight. The moment they bump into each other, they're intrigued, and then it spirals out of control so quickly. But they're desperately trying to look like proper, mature gentlemen. Because gentlemen don't fall all over themselves with dokies for another person. And that's fucking adorable. Because they are having this kind of beautiful, chaste, very kind of sugary romance around the, fucked up lives that they live. And I'm in it. I'm so intrigued. And it's not like these men aren't, dangerous criminals. Hatamoto is a certified Yakuza and close advisor to his boss. He has definitely harmed people both physically and financially, but he's also really fucking charming. He loves movies with a special emphasis on romance, and his hobby is singing crooner love songs. And he also rips a guy's eye out of his socket with his bare hands later on, which creates this huge gap in his personality. And that gap is where the moe lives.
Good lord. Did the guy deserve it?
Yes.
Okay.
Had to be done.
I just wanted to check.
Absolutely had to be done.
I mean, even
totally
if he
fair.
didn't deserve it, it was kind of cool. But you know.
Mizuta is actually well-bred and has a real medical degree with good connections and a natural intelligence. And he chose purposefully to lose his medical license and do illegal shit for the Yakuza. He actively orchestrates some of the shady deals that go down in this comic. And Avi, there's a giant tattoo on his back. So he's in it. He's fully signed up. He's part of the group. Whatever. He's actually factually not a good dude. But he's also a voracious reader and a collector of old jazz records. And has an eye for fashion. He would steal drugs from your grandma. But he'd never act in violence. The gap is huge and there is moe in there.
Okay.
The fact that these two men view one another as perfect gentlemen is so precious and a testament to how smitten they are. But it's also the major conflict of the story, because they never tell each other any details about their jobs until it's too late.
Until it's oops, cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. Motherfuckers just start making plans together based on vibes and horny. But the other major conflict lies in the fact that they are criminals in organizations that they owe a certain level of responsibility to. They are not their own masters, even though they're grown, which is another reason why I love this comic in particular, and Nishida Sensei's work in general. She never shies away from keeping things real. Shit doesn't just magically resolve itself because the characters hope hard enough. Her characters have expectations to meet and responsibilities, things they can't love their way through, which makes the moments where they choose love so much more special. And guaranteed, Hatamoto and Mizuta choose love.
Nice.
I could gush about Nishida Sensei for a while because she really does have a unique point of view and a style that is appealing to BL lovers of all genders. The comics she creates have a tendency to live rent-free in your mind for long after you've read them. They're just that unique and charming. She is a champion of magical realism, which is obvious in Till the End of the Night, but all of her stories feel a little fantastical. She knows how to make the mundane seem magical, and uses regular dudes as a vehicle to make love look like a supernatural force.
Nice.
So, if you'd like to dive into the charmingly mundane, romantic, melancholic, and silly world of Nishida Higashi, these two comics are for you.
Yeah.
So, you can find Till the End of the Night on Manga Planet, or it's Fudakiya. It's the same umbrella, but it's on Manga Planet. You can either rent it, or you can use your points on it or something, or you can pay the, 4-time-a-year fee to, get everything free. Whatever you want to do, that's where it is. It contains attempted murder, mentions of violence, spirits, dubious consent, big confusion, and someone loses a finger. You can find Yasashii Anata out there if you search for it, because it's unfortunately not officially translated. I read it a long time ago. Someone was very kind and scanning the whole thing, but search. You'll do it. It contains violence, yakuza, more violence, prison, blood, and more violence. Seriously, someone gets an eye taken out, and while it's not gruesome and it is fairly late in the story, you should know that. I also beseech y'all to read the extra that comes with this comic, because it gives you really good closure. The comic ends fine, but the extra is chef's kiss. So Make sure you read the version with the extra. I know there's a couple versions roaming around out there that just have chapters 1 through 5, but there is an extra. Make sure you read that. So, my darling, what is your whole rating?
All right, so I'm gonna do it separately.
Of course, yeah, makes sense.
The first story, I'm gonna give a 7 out of 10. It's not bad. It's not a listening to story.
No,
it's not a story that you want to hear about because you're literally like, what the fuck is happening? If you're patient for mystery stories, this is a story for you, and I would give it a higher rating, like a 10 out of 10. Because there's plenty of mystery. It's really good. Once I knew what was fucking happening, because to reveal the curtain, I bullied my wife into telling me. I was like, you must tell me or I'll kiss you to death. And, whatever. It's very interesting, very good. I do not have the patience to think someone's dead for a long, long time and be that sad about it. I just don't. Again, because I also don't ever want to be fucked by a ghost. It lost points for that. I don't like spooky things. So, 7 out of 10.
Uh-huh.
But, really, really intriguing. Really liked it. This story I'm going to give a 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
They did some embarrassing stuff, and I also don't like to be embarrassed.
You can't cringe, I know.
I don't like to be embarrassed, and I don't like to see others terribly embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
And running away before someone kisses you, stopping to stare at them for an awkward moment, and then continuing to run away. No, I can't handle it.
I get it.
So, 7 out of 10 for the first one, 9 out of 10 for the next one. But overall, this author's got good vibes. So I'd give her an overall rating of 9 out of 10. Or him, I don't know.
Her.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I, as we're even talking about this, there's another story that she has where a, middle-aged, he's 50 years old or something like that, and he's in upper management, and he develops a crush on one of his subordinates, but he's married, and then he has to go through this whole situation of trying not to be into subordinate, and they have one of them trips, and they have this shoujo moment of the other one catching him on the stairs, and I was like, I'm so horny for this. Give me this. I'm begging you. She just delivers all bangers. I feel like every story that I read by her is just a fucking banger. And if you want more Nishida Higashi, you can find her on Twitter at P-yo-yo. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god, what?
It's P-yo. So that is P-I-Y-O. P-I-Y-O. Sorry.
You let me read this one because it's a tongue twister. It is at P-I-Y-O-P-I-Y-O-Y-O-Y-O.
Yes. Or you can also find her at her website, which is way easier, pinkhigashi.web.fc2.com. She has one more work that's been translated into English called President Momoe-kun, but it's out of print and can only be found used. If you know anyone in manga publishing, please yell politely at them to bring over more Nishida-sensei. I also will warn, while I love all of her works, obviously double check the warnings on each work because some of them may have some things that you don't enjoy. Like I was saying with Yasashii Anata, that's got some like violence in it towards the end, especially. Be cognizant of what's in the stories, of the content, what's in the stories before you go into them. And remember too that she is a long-term boy love mangaka, and so she's covered a lot of ground in her stuff as well. Read the warnings before you go in.
Yeah.
But
she has gone through the terrible times of yaoi, because there's some dark times in the 90s and the early 2000s.
She absolutely did. And then also remember, so two of her favorite manga are like some of the most depressing manga of all time, so chill.
Yeah.
Well, do you desire more whole? There's always more at our Bluesky and Tumblr, both at whole-chat. And whether or not you're listening to this on YouTube, there's more on the YouTube for sure. I sometimes upload extra clips, shorts, and stuff like that. So, check it out. Need to contact us? DMs are open. We can also email us at whole.chat69@gmail.com. Comments are always welcome, and I kiss each one I receive, so keep that in mind. Well, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and tighten up.
Tighten up.